Okay. I'll do this one here, and then in February at the other national signing day, Matt and I will do it together, and we'll talk about any portal acquisitions. We'll talk about any changes in the roster. But today we will celebrate our recruiting class, number 13 in the country, from what it looks like right now on 247. Which will be the highest in the history of Washington, which is what we wanted. It's what we've strived for since we arrived here, and it's our second recruiting class, and we're extremely proud of being able to have landed this group. All 23 guys have signed at this point in time. So Rajon Duncan just signed officially, so the class is complete at this moment. You know, with the possibility, I guess, of one or two ads in the next 24 to 48 hours. That's always possible. And but we are excited about the group. We have, I think, every position on offense and defense filled in. So we have the ability to go out and play. We have some top players in the state. We have the number one player in the state of Washington. We have the number one player in the state of California. We have the number one player in the state of Oklahoma. We have the number two player in the state of Nevada. And we have the number three player and I believe two player in the state of Oregon. And we're very excited about the group. We have multiple players in the top five in their state. I think we have 11 different states represented in this class. And we have, I believe it's 1 5-star player, 10 4-star players, which is very exciting, as you could just see the trajectory of the team and of the program. A lot of players wanted to be a part of it. Even in the last week, people were making decisions that, they saw us play. They wanted to be a part of how we play. They wanted to be a part of the program. And over the last 48 hours, a couple of elite players chose to join us. So altogether, really thrilled about where we are on signing day. And I feel like we are taking another step in the right direction to be able to compete to be Big Ten champions.
You guys had a late receiver flip last year with Marcus Harris, too, this year. Why did you feel like this class needed those last two guys to make it a complete class?
I think with the group, with the two guys in this group, with Trez and with Jordan, we were eyeing them for months. We were trying to get them on our team. We felt as if we wanted to stay, consistent in recruiting them. They were on visits a couple weeks ago. We brought them back up. Again, they were here twice, I think, or at least Jordan was here twice. But we needed to make sure that we were able to. We felt 4 receivers was the right number for this year's class. We didn't want to only have 2. And we wanted some guys with some different body types that could play different spots. And obviously, we felt, Jordan was probably, I think he's ranked as one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. So to get him was a huge get for us. And to get Trez makes a huge difference in what we're trying to get done, both on the outside and on the inside.
Hey, you're getting to look at a few press conferences. You stated you wanted to sign the best recruiting class, and now less than 2 years later, you've done that. Did you expect to be? I mean, cause obviously in a way did, but did you think it would happen this quickly? And how much of this season's success did you feel played a part in that success, in that signing class?
Yeah, that was our goal. Our goal was to do it. We did it in our second year at Arizona, and we've now done it in our second year here. And we feel as if that when people get to know us and be around us, we can get guys to come play for us. And it takes a little bit of time. I thought we signed a really good class last year. I think that was representative by the amount of freshmen that played on our team. It becomes, we tell the truth in recruiting, and we tell guys that we're going to play young. Sometimes they need to see it. They saw it. We tell people that every year we've had a guy that's a freshman be a freshman All-American that we've recruited. I believe we'll probably have 2 this year. So when teams see that and they see that what we're telling them actually is true, when we tell them that we're going to start the best players, we're not going to worry about who gets paid what or who transfers in or who's been here, another year, they were able to see that. So I think that is what led to the success of recruiting. I think being 8-4 always helps. The fact that, in the 4 losses we had, it was a 7-point game in all 4 of them or less in the final 10 minutes of the game. 17-6 against Ohio State, 14-7 against Michigan, 13-10 against Wisconsin, and 19-14 against Oregon. I think people saw that we were competitive with all of them, and I think they want to be a part of us to get us over the top.
Or was it to get Derek Coleman-Brusa committed when he did, back in the spring, and then maybe use that as a building block?
Enormously important, because where we had him on our board, where we felt that he could immediately impact our team the day he walks on campus in January, the idea that he is, once again, multiple years in a row of the number 1 player in the state, the quality of the human, the quality of the family, the fact that his brother's on our team as well. We believe we have 2 elite players, elite people. And when we got him on board after the spring game, that enabled him to have another 6 months of recruiting others to join. And with him and Cody on board, it really helped the overall group want to come together and play together and be a part of this.
Last year, a majority of your class enrolled in January. How many of the 23 that you've signed today would you anticipate enrolling in January?
Yeah, from what I was told yesterday, I think all but 3 will be here in January. So we're expecting, I believe it'll be 20 of the 23 players, maybe 19 of the 23 players will all be here in January. Move-in date, January 2. Physicals, January 3.
Last year, Desmond Roebuck came in, and he seemed to be an under-recruited guy and played a major role this year. Is there a guy in this class that you might compare to Desmond Roebuck that may be under-recruited that you're kind of smiling about?
Yeah, I don't know yet, because they're not all here. That we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know. Dez, I think, was the number 1 player in Arizona, and he was a Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona, but he just wasn't recruited heavily for one reason or another. He certainly was recruited heavily by us. I saw a video of me offering him when he was in 9th grade the other day. But you just don't know. You don't know what this group is going to look like. If you're asking me, am I excited about a lot of the late ads as much as I am about the early ones? For sure. I think we've got a lot of great ones. Getting Ramzak Fruin was a huge get for our program. I think he is going to be a special linebacker. And him coming from the same high school as Zay, knowing Zay, I think it's pretty awesome that we have him. We beat out some really good teams there at the end for him. And I think that there's a lot of guys in this class that is really going to help us get to where we want to go.
6 your first year, 8-4 the next. Now you have the best recruiting class, I think, since 01. Is this, from a realistic standpoint, about just the trajectory that you could have hoped for, as ideal of a trajectory as you could have hoped for?
Yeah, we're excited about the direction of the program for sure. And I believe it's kind of coming together as we hoped and planned. We felt when we arrived here, and looking at a roster that only had 40 scholarship players, that it was going to take some time. And that, but we don't like time. We don't want to spend a lot of time, complaining or worrying or trying to figure it out. So we said, hey, we got to get to work. We got to see what we can do. Got to 6 wins the first year. We wanted to be better. We were better. We recruited well the first year. We wanted to recruit better. We did recruit better the second year. And our goal is to continue that trajectory to see how good we can be. And I believe that we have not reached the ceiling by any way, shape, or form.
Can you talk about Cody Green?
Cody Green, I'm expecting to walk in here as a starter. I'm expecting him to come in here and be a very similar player as a John Mills. Walk in and be able to compete right away. Now, it took John Mills an entire spring and training camp to compete, and I believe Cody will be in that same position. But you're talking about an elite player. There's a lot of high school football players that play in California. To be ranked at number 1 in the state is pretty impressive. There's a lot of tackles in this country. To be one of the top 5 tackles in the whole country is impressive. He's got the size, he's got the feet, he's got the brain, he's got the athleticism. He is a special player. He's also coming from a winning team, a winning organization. He's been coached exceptionally well at Mater Dei. So I'm very excited about Cody being a part of this deal.
Left tackle, you think?
How much has moving to the Big Ten helped expand your national footprint as far as recruiting is going?
Yeah, I haven't been here when they weren't in the Big Ten. So I will say, though, we have 11 states covered in this class. We are able to talk to players on the East Coast and explain to them, hey, there's going to be 3 or 4 games that your parents might be able to be on the same time zone for. We're able to talk to players in the Midwest and in the Mountain Time Zone and talk to them about, the games are at all different times, at all different places. It's not going to be always having to travel west for everything you're doing. We're on more national broadcasts than local broadcasts. We have more of a outreach to areas in the Midwest and in the East Coast. I think that when you play teams like Ohio State and Michigan, like we did this past year, people are going to know more about your program because of just the eyes that are on those programs. The fact that we went at Penn State and played in their whiteout 2 years ago helped recruiting. The game wasn't very good, but the idea that we were out there on national television from Washington, with the team we had playing in the whiteout, I think does help and puts attention to our program.
Coach, this is kind of a unique year with recruiting because of the settlement that came down. Can you talk a little bit about some of the commitments before the settlement came down as opposed to commitments that came after the settlement, and how the NIL deals reflected in that as well as the rev share?
Yeah. There were some programs that were capable and able to give a lot of money ahead of time and front load deals by June 30th. There was programs that were written about yesterday that were capable and able of doing it, of upwards of $9 million ahead of time. Good for them. That was not what we did. That's not what we were able to do. So what we were able to do is had the opportunity to use our revenue share dollars for our team this fall, and then use the remaining part of our revenue share dollars for the team that's coming in this weekend, or today, I guess I should say. And then also tried to do all we can to retain our current team, and then hopefully use the next 12 months afterwards, or starting July 1, to be able to have another influx of cash through revenue share, and then hopefully be able to build out our third-party NIL program that would, as you guys have all seen and heard, there's a lot of teams talking about adding an additional 10 million, 7 million, 15 million, whatever it is, on top of their revenue share. You need that now to be able to retain your team, to prevent guys from going in the portal, to be able to reward some of the recruits that came for a lesser amount, hopeful to gain a bigger amount come July and August of next year. So I think with the new world of revenue share, third-party NIL, people making front-loaded contracts prior to the House settlement being fully taken care of on whatever June 30th, we see, and we're hearing a lot of different numbers being thrown out there. For us, we had to recruit a lot of the old-fashioned way, relationships and commitments, and know that we compensate our guys for how well they play.
Philosophically, what portion of your budget would you prefer the freshman class each year to take up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe that what's going to happen, and that what I believe in, is that your freshmen and juniors and seniors will be paid the most. I look at it in a way of like a first-round pick. If you sign a 4-year, $28 million deal, you receive $16 million of it in the first year, and then the next 3 years you receive the other $12 million, $4 million, $4 million, $4 million, because you have a signing bonus. I think we're going to see freshmen receiving a larger amount overall, because that's almost like you're getting them to come while you're also paying them to be here. And then your sophomore and junior year, you're going to see their values, and then you're going to make decisions on how much you want to compensate them after you see them play, and then they're going to be compensated to stay, and or how much they're helping your program, marketing wise, NIL wise, how much their name is recognized. So I do believe that we're looking at if you can make a perfect world of cap space, you're going to look at probably 30% will go to the first, in your first year, and 30% in your last year, and 40% in the years in between, is what I'm guessing. But I think every case is different, and we're going to have to wait and see what it looks like in terms of the next few weeks. Hopefully we can keep everybody. I know that's really hard. I know no NFL team that keeps everybody out that's not on contract. So I would assume it might be similar, but we are going to work very, very diligently to keep our entire team together, and we're going to have to rely upon the ability to, offer up revenue share dollars, and hopefully that some of these guys can get third-party deals as well.
As we look around the country, you'd be hard-pressed to find a bigger riser over the course of senior season than J.D. Hill. Could you just talk a little bit about that recruitment process when you guys first identified him, and just the process of getting him here?
Yeah, we first identified him a while back because we were recruiting heavily Jaron Jones and another one of his teammates at Viejo. And while we were watching Jaron play, we kept seeing JD splash on the film, make a sack, strip the ball away, tackle for loss. And we were trying to figure out exactly how many defensive linemen / outside linebackers we had space for in the class. And, as we were going through it, we were trying to figure out, how many of our younger guys are able to contribute, how many are not, how many of our guys have made, are want to be a part of the program. And as we were deciding that we felt like we needed to add a couple more defensive linemen later in recruiting process, we circled back with JD probably over the last 4 weeks. We brought him here on an official visit for the Oregon game. And at that point in time, I believe we had our official offer was sent out to him about 2 to 3 weeks before that, or 2 weeks before that. And then when we got him on the visit, we did everything we could to close it and let him know that, hey, as we kept evaluating you, you kept rising on our board. I know you kept rising on the recruiting boards, but you kept rising in terms of the ability to play both outside and inside, and his pass rush skills, as well as his motor. Guy doesn't stop. Guy works really, really hard, which is super cool.
Versa come in as an edge rusher.
He does. He's excuse me. He has great size, and he probably has the flexibility to play 4 different positions on the defensive line, but we're going to bring him in as an edge rusher.
Honor, similar to anybody that you've had in the past. And just also real quick, 85 on the max number on your roster. Are you still adamant in keeping it at 85?
We're still working through, excuse me. We're still working through all of the different avenues. Thank you, Jeff. If we can, I appreciate it. If we can go to 88 or 89 or 90, it seems like right now that there is not a big push for that $2.5 million to not count against your cap. So if we go over our number, if we go to 88 or 89, we would have to have about $125,000 taken out of our revenue share, because it would be about 4 in-state scholarships. But that being the case, we are working diligently to see how that's going to look, how many guys are coming back, how many guys, we signed 23 plus last year's class, how many guys are returning. Does it look like it might go a little bit above 85 possibly, and then we'll just take it out of our revenue share.
Brian Bonner.
And Brian Bonner, does he remind me of anybody? Really good running back is what he reminds me of. He's got elite speed. I don't know if I want to put a name attached to him, but he has similar speed as Jordan, time speed in the 100 in California. Both of them are in the sub 10.3 range. He's got great size, though. He's probably coming in about 15 or 20 pounds heavier than Jordan did when we got him. He's got great vision. He's very elusive, and he loves football. So he's an all-around great get for the program. I thought Coach Graham did a fantastic job recruiting him. I don't know if I want to say he is like somebody else, but I do believe that his skills are pretty special.
What
Is
made
there a guy that's, say, a so-called three-star? Is there one of those guys that's really underrated, that you see something that, maybe he didn't get as much of a rating as he should have?
Yeah, I would say if we signed him, we believe that he's good enough to play at Washington. So we might have, 1 5-star and 10 4-star and 12 3-star players in this class of 23. But once they're Huskies, they're all Huskies. And I believe that group, you could be a 3-star and be 1/10 of a point away from being a 4-star, or be a 3-star and be 8/10 away. So I think that we have a lot of guys that are quality football players that will end up being 4-stars in a year from now if watching our practice.
Looking at this defensive backs class as a whole, you guys seem to just emphasize versatility, physicality, and length. What's the plan with just these 5 guys coming in?
Yeah, well, those are certainly prerequisites for our program. We have shown historically that we like longer players if we can get them. That we believe that length is a big part of playing DB for us. We think the versatility of being able to play inside and outside, safety and corner, is a huge part. There are some guys that were recruited as corners that might play safety, recruited as safety that we might bring down a corner. High school players that were one that might be the other. And this group here, with Durr, with Giles, with Jaron, with Gavin Day, and with Rajan, you're looking at really 5 guys that can, if we wanted to start our secondary and have all 5 of those guys, they all have a spot. You could have 2 corners, a nickel, and 2 safeties out of that group of 5. You can also have 2 corners and 3 safeties. You can also have 4 corners and 1 safety out of that group. I don't know where all of them will start in terms of what room. Will they be with Coach Mays or Coach Richardson? I know some of them where they'll be. But I think that what I love about the group of 5 is they are versatile. They've played against really good competition. They've been coached really hard. I mean, Rajan's DB coach is Marcus Peters, right? So he has been coached every day by Marcus Peters on what it means to be a Husky corner. There's an expectation for Rajan when he walks in this door that he's going to understand exactly what Marcus's expectation is of him. Guy like Jaron has gone against the best competition in California week in and week out and has done an unbelievable job shutting him down. And a guy like Gavin, you're the number 2 player in the entire state of Nevada. I think he could be the 2nd highest player ranking-wise in our list. So he is he's hard-hitting, he's tough, he's physical. We've loved him from the very beginning. I love the fact that, Kasani has been at IMG. So you're talking about every day going against corner or receivers that are at top of the line. And we've had Durr on our list and on our radar since we got here. So all 5 of those guys are going to give us something special. And I can't wait to watch them all come in here and compete.
You have 2 local guys in Malu and Adyang Yang. What made them intriguing prospects to you guys? Why did you want to bring them in?
Yeah, Adyang was somebody that stood out for us and really stood out for Coach Carroll. Adyang committed to BC. He has been part of our recruitment and part of our class of 26. I think first or second, maybe him and Ansu. They were right there at the very, very beginning. We felt that he played with a great power, great passion. We thought that he'd be an ideal guard for us with the ability to potentially play some center. We thought that, he was loving UW and wanted to be a part of it. So he was a great candidate. Ta'a came later. I actually met him at one of our camps in the summertime. I guess it was in June at one of our camps. And, he took a different route. His route was more of, he became a football player later. He was learning about, hand-to-hand combat, fighting, boxing, UFC. His dad was a UFC trainer. So there was a toughness about him that I wanted to bring into our defensive line room. There was an ability to use his hands to shed blocks, and there's a discipline involved. And he's got 2 parents that are both college athletes, and I felt like he would be a great fit for what we're trying to get done.
All right, thanks everybody.
Okay, thank you guys.